Good morning and welcome. Rise and shine, it's tea time. Well, it's hard to see with the virtual background there. Welcome, we're happy to have you join us for our first 1906 Society event in a few years. You may recall we needed to cancel last year's event as it was scheduled to be held just at the start of the impact of COVID-19 was being realized. And so we are just really happy to be back on track and hosting our virtual event. Of course, you can't really talk about the value of planned giving without mentioning the first planned gift ever made to Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. It was made in the early 1900s by Antioch Wentworth to establish the Wentworth-Douglass Hospital, which opened its doors back in 1906, a mere 115 years ago. Without the vision of people like Mr. Wentworth, many charitable endeavors would remain undone. We are so fortunate here at Wentworth-Douglass to have the legacy tradition continue throughout the ages. Today, we celebrate your incredible vision and your commitment to the future of Wentworth-Douglass. And we are so appreciative of your ongoing support, which has helped us navigate many changes in the healthcare landscape over the years. We'll be sharing one story in particular later during this event. I would now like to introduce our esteemed interim president and CEO, Jeff Hughes, to share with us the latest and greatest of news. Jeff?
Thank you, Christine, for that auspicious introduction. I really appreciate it. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this early morning virtual event. I think we all wish this could be in person, but I'm hopeful that those days will be returning soon. Let me start with an update on COVID. What a year this has been for Wentworth-Douglass, for our country, I think for each of us and for our families, certainly. Back on March 16th, 2020, we made the decision to initiate our Disaster Incident Command Center to help us cope with the onslaught of COVID-19. A couple of weeks ago, which by coincidence was almost exactly 1 calendar year and 1 week later, we decided to close down finally our Incident Command Center structure and move to recovery phase. So recovery, what does that mean? Well, for us, it means to try to return to a more normal operations as a hospital and a healthcare facility, or perhaps to a new normal, something that we're still actively trying to define. But the good news is all hospital services are operational, of course, with appropriate COVID precautions. We continue to remain vigilant for the care of COVID patients and for any signs of an increase or resurgence. And we're focusing our efforts now on vaccinations. Nearly 74% of our employees have been vaccinated. At last count, more than 30% of the state's population has also been vaccinated. And we are partnering closely with the state to support their vaccination sites at the C&J terminal up the street. And also been very proud to say that many of our staff continue to volunteer at the various mass vaccination events being held at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Another one is coming up this weekend. We're really looking towards a bright future and a return to a more normal way of life. Despite the challenges we've had this year, though, our level of service has not wavered. We once again received multiple Best of the Seacoast Awards in several major categories, including Best Hospital and Best Emergency Room. And we received the HealthGrade's Outstanding Patient Experience Award for the 7th year in a row. It's no secret that the healthcare industry has struggled in the wake of the pandemic, but our financial outlook is strong. Across the organization, we're rebounding and patient volume is increasing. We all believe our financial goals are well within reach this fiscal year, and our priorities of patient-centered care, innovation, growth, and being the employer of choice continue to be the bedrock of our long-term strategic plan. At the start of 2021, we made the very difficult decision to step away from our efforts to merge with Exeter Hospital. This was truly a difficult decision based on our sober assessment that there was no real path forward to regulatory approval. With that behind us, our vision and strategic direction remain with a bright future ahead. Coupled with the resources and support of Mass General Hospital and Mass General Brigham, the capabilities and medical service offerings of Wentworth-Douglass continue to expand, including enhanced medical specialty services in the area of cancer, neonatal care, neurology, orthopedics and sports medicine, and cardiovascular care. Growth in these areas is a testament to our broad vision of being the go-to healthcare provider of choice and the regional hub of healthcare services on the seacoast of New Hampshire. All of this really would not be possible without the financial support and commitment of individuals like each of you. Nonprofit, mission-driven healthcare organizations operate on very thin financial margins. So it is through generous donations that enable us to continue to offer the latest technology and enable us to invest in new innovative medical programs and services. Thank you for your lasting commitment to Wentworth. And let me conclude by saying how grateful we are to have people like you behind us who aren't just donating funds, but really leaving a lasting legacy for the future. It's admirable. Let me turn back the program to Christine.
Thank you, Jeff. As you heard, we have many exciting programs and initiatives to share. I'd like now to share an incredible story of love, legacy, and impact. And for those of you that received a gift box in time for Rise and Shine, It's Tea Time, you have that story in print in your box. I first met Bob Charlie Adams 3 years ago and knew immediately he was a very special man. He was thoughtful, he was compassionate, and it was evident that he was very committed to the memory of his wife, Patricia, a former pediatrician at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital who retired much too young. However, the battle with early Alzheimer's stole her career. Pat embodied the values of Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. Being a doctor was not a job she clocked in and clocked out of. It was her way of life. When Dr. Adams was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at age 50, it was a terrible shock. She and her husband, Bob, weren't ready for her to check out of her role at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. Bob was dedicated to Pat and visited her every day, most days, twice a day, in the nursing home until she passed away in 2015. Once the dust settled from Pat's estate, Bob, also known as Charlie by his friends, worked with Pat's friends and colleagues to establish the Patricia C. Adams MD Endowment Fund for Children's Care at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. As one of the largest gifts Wentworth-Douglass has ever received, this gift helped to ensure that the compassionate care Pat provided to our youngest patients continues with the next generation. I had the pleasure of working with Bob for 2.5 years on the distribution of the earned income from Pat's endowment fund. It truly was a labor of love for Bob, and he very much enjoyed supporting the many worthy causes over the years. It was bittersweet to learn of the impact Bob made with his legacy giving. Last October, Bob passed away, and this past January, the foundation received a gift of approximately $500,000, which Bob wanted commingled with his wife's bequest. Together, their fund balance is over $1.1 million, and the results of their generosity will continue to grow and impact children's programs and initiatives throughout Wentworth-Douglass Hospital and its enterprise. If not for Pat and Bob's vision, this incredible legacy would not exist. To share the impact of the Adams Endowment Fund, I'd like to introduce our beloved Chief Nursing Officer, Sheila Woolley.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everybody. Pat Adams Endowment Fund has supported children's care at Wentworth-Douglass for a long time. It's helped enhance the lives of not only our patients, but children and families in our community. Today, I'm going to share a bit with you about the impact of Pat and Bob's legacy on the smallest and most vulnerable of patients at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. Years ago, they supported scholarships for hippotherapy, better known as equine assisted therapy. Pat's love for horses and Bob's love for horses was shared with many children in our community. A therapeutic riding program has helped these children get a voice and enjoy their lives. Their parents are ecstatic and have been so grateful for this program throughout the years. Additionally, Bob was instrumental in helping us design a pediatric room in our emergency room. He commissioned an artist with the leadership team in the ED and had the artist paint a beautiful mural of horses in that room. The room also provides soft lighting and soft music. As you can imagine, when children come to the ED, they're very sick. It's a traumatic experience. And by creating a pediatric friendly room, we're hoping the children feel more comfortable getting the care that they needed. I spoke with a couple of our child life therapists to ask, how has the room affected children? Allison told me that she had a patient who was in critical condition and had his granddaughter with him. She was called into the room to help with the granddaughter to soothe her. The grandfather was rushed into CT. The child was crying, but Allison and the child stayed in the room, and inspired by the mural, they began talking. Allison watched her body relax and her face light up as she shared her love for horses. She had been riding since a young girl, and she was sharing comforting stories about those experiences while we cared for her grandfather. Molly, another child life specialist, has used the mural for distracting during IV starts. She talks with the patients about what they see in the mural, playing the game of I Spy, and this has allowed them to reduce their worries and find relief in the beauty of the mural. Additionally, our philosophy of family-centered care has been supported by this endowment. We were able to develop family integrated neonatal care, better known as FINC, in our women and children's area. The foundation supported monitors, education and training, and now allows us to keep the family unit together. Prior to that, we took the baby to the nursery and separated them from the family. We believe that this is the best possible care for families who are going through some challenges with their newborns. We also brought in a national speaker on nutrition to help the staff understand the principles and the value of infant nutrition at this age. It has been a huge success. The foundation has worked with Bob to develop an adaptive treehouse and nature path at the Works. We partnered with the Works and Health and Fitness Center, and the endowment fund was able to bring the Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies, Healthy Future programs to the camp. We engaged 385 campers in this program. They were provided with personal fitness trackers. They challenged each other and found a new joy in being physically fit. A ropes course was installed, and shy campers found their voice and led their peers through the elements, providing them real life leadership experience. The goal was to get our youth active and outdoors, enjoying nature. We also had the opportunity to plant a vegetable garden, planted it, watched it grow, and then were able to eat the fruits. It was a wonderful experience. He wanted to do more, and so we developed a sensory treehouse. It allows the children to have opportunities to experience nature, to climb, and to use their imagination. These children have found lifelong friends and wonderful experiences that will carry them through. Most recently, the endowment has helped us again with our family philosophy. So young babies that are born that may be very, very sick and normally transferred to tertiary centers like Maine Med, Dartmouth, Mass General, now can stay with us because we have a tele-newborn consult service. This service, similar to the stroke tele program that we implemented many years ago, helps our pediatricians when a newborn is born who needs stabilization. We pair them with a neonatologist at Mass General for real-time assistance. The pediatrician here is able to provide the care while being guided by the neonatologist. This has helped families stay together. We've seen babies leave in a more timely fashion to get home with their families, to bond and to grow. We thank them. We thank Pat and Bob for the incredible support that they have provided us for children at our hospital as well as our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. I would just like to add that in the short time that I was able to get to know Bob, he shared many stories of growing up with his love of the outdoors, grabbing his fishing pole, hopping on his bike, and heading to the local watering hole with his friends near his home in Vermont. He was very, very excited to be funding a lot of the outdoor activities at the works for the children, and believed very strongly in having or being able to instill in the children an appreciation for nature. Getting away from the technology and really just enjoying it. So that meant a lot to him. I'd also just like to mention before I introduce Tom Tor that we do have a chat function available for questions and answers. So you should please feel free to submit any questions, and we'll have a question and answer period at the end of this session. And so next, I would love to introduce attorney Tom Tor, who is a local estate planning attorney and a member of our foundation board here at Wentworth-Douglass. Tom.
Good morning. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate this morning. My introduction to Wentworth-Douglass, the hospital, looking back, I think was really based upon my mom, who served for many, many years on the board of trustees. And I can remember a young woman coming to the door, probably on a Thursday or Friday afternoon, and she would drop off a big package, a big envelope. And I asked my mom one day, who was that, and what is she dropping off, and why is it important? And she explained to me that, well, that was Mrs. Beal from the hospital, and she was dropping off the package for the Board of Trustees meeting, which would take place the next week. And nowadays, we get it emailed to us, it's in our board books, and there's a lot of paper, but we don't actually see the paper. And my mom would work for hours the rest of that day and over the weekend, pouring through, making notes and getting prepared. And then come Monday evening, my mom would go up to the hospital to her Board of Trustees meeting. My dad at the time was also a member of the Lions Club, another service organization, and their big issue was their primary charitable function was addressing eye issues, and their meetings were on Monday nights as well. So my brother and sister and I got to have breakfast for dinner on those nights, which was usually pancakes or French toast. But those early experiences taught me the importance of community, participation, and philanthropy. And I think for many of us, our perspective of Wentworth-Douglass Hospital is based upon our own personal experiences. Sheila talked this morning about labor and delivery and some of the things that have been done through the Adams generosity and what that's given us. And a lot of it's based upon children, but it's also based upon our early experiences. My earliest experience with the hospital that I can recall was, as with probably most of us, was the emergency room. And I had I got hit in the head with a baseball bat over my eye. I still have the scar in my eyebrow from the stitches. That experience made a significant impact on me. I can still remember the bright lights laying on the table, and I'll never forget Dr. Wilson taking out those stitches that were left in a little bit too long, and it was a little painful having them come out. But if you fast forward many years, now I have the opportunity to make a difference, similar to what my parents have done. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney. And I had a friend years ago that I went to law school late in life. I was 30 years old when I went to law school. I had some other friends that went back to school. I had a friend that went to nursing school back when I was in DC. And when she got out, she used to talk about, she gets to participate in happy medicine. She worked in labor and delivery, not in the cancer ward or wherever. And she talked about happy medicine. And when I think about Chris, I think that I get to practice happy law. I get to help people. I help clients plan for their future, to take control of their legacy and their destiny, similar to the nurses in labor and delivery. And that kind of brings a smile to my face and kind of makes me happy in what I get to do. And Similar to Dr. Wilson, in the days of old, I'm still willing to make house calls. So I get the opportunity to visit with clients and potential clients at the hospital, in nursing homes, in assisted living facilities. And it's a great pleasure for me to assist those clients who are charitably inclined. Often they will include provisions in their estate plan to benefit Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. And one of the most rewarding professional experiences for me is the honor of dispersing funds from a trust or estate administration in support of a favorite project or service at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. It could be supporting Camp Lancelot for children suffering from diabetes, or Camp Meridian for children with heart challenges, or some other area of the hospital that's important. Serving on the Hospital Foundation Board has provided me with an education as to the tremendous value of a gift. The benefit to the hospital of a gift is exponentially greater than the effort and revenue required to be generated to provide equivalent additional resources. And I've witnessed the impact of philanthropy at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital. We're fortunate to have this real gem in our area. Excellent health care provided by caring and conscientious providers. Wentworth-Douglass Hospital is the backbone of our little corner of the world. The people at Wentworth-Douglass work to keep us healthy and secure, and Wentworth-Douglass Hospital is a vital cog in our region's economic engine. That point, I think, has been driven home in our experiences over the past year, especially the importance of good health care. Equally important is to be able to provide the resources necessary to allow our healthcare providers to care for us and maintain their safety as well. I'm proud to be a member of the Wentworth-Douglass Hospital Foundation. Personally, it allows me to participate and support this incredible institution and the people that make a positive difference in so many lives. And I can honor the legacy that's been handed to me to support the institution that provides compassionate care and support to our friends, families, and neighbors. For those of you who have supported and continue to support the mission of Wentworth-Douglass through the foundation, I want to thank you this morning. For those of you who are charitably inclined, I ask you to consider the Wentworth-Douglass Hospital Foundation. There are so many ways to support the hospital and its mission. Contact your attorney or the foundation team if you wish to support the foundation in your estate plan. The continued success of Wentworth-Douglass Hospital will be determined by the leadership of the hospital. Our continued support and philanthropy will ensure that the resources and facilities remain available to make the greatest impact for all the communities in our region. And at this time, I'd like to read the roll of the current members of the 1906 Heritage Society. The members of the society: Patricia and Robert Adams, Christopher and Britta Eyre, Allison Beard Collin, John and Nancy Beckwith, Jeremy Guppy, Elizabeth Ben, David and Nancy Borden, Nancy Boyle, Ethel Brown, John and Cheryl Buffum, Roger Dione, Francis and Louise Douglas, Edna Doobie, Ella Durgan, Charles Fairbanks, Lily Ford, David and Teresa Garabedian, Francis Grant, Clarence and Helen Grant, Frederick and Shirley Greenberg, Joseph Grillo, Hugh Harder, Ida Hodgson, Margaret Hodgson, Marilyn Arlen, Helen Jarvis, James and Francis Caggiolari, Margaret Kaiser, Greg and Helen Kuchalakis, Abby Lane, Edmund Lane, Henry Law, Thomas Lavasser, Richard Lord, James Lothrop, Amos Luigi, Rose Maines, Samuel Shackford, Ida Buzzell, Catherine Cameron, Mary Cash, Kevin Castle, Robert Castle, Lynn Shabbat, Kathleen Coakley, Susan Daly, Dr. Gerald and Patricia Daly, Matricia Sawyer, Harris McGlone, George Morgan, Mary Murphy, Charles and Suzanne Murphy, Benjamin Neal, Lydia Pike, Mark Prescott, Philip and Donna Rinaldi, Fred Roberts, Lydia Rollins, Emma Sanborn, Etta Shaw, Virginia Smith, Fred Tanzer, Frank and Ann Tor, Emily Waite, Gregory and Rebecca Walker, Helga Washburn, Ariok Wentworth, Clayton and Marianne Wentworth, Ethel Whitehouse, George Williams, Sheila Woolley, and Henry Worthen. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Tom. I hope you're all realizing the impact that our legacy donors have been able to make and the future impact that you will also be making through your estate plans. So if we could just go to questions and answers for a couple of minutes, and give me just a minute or so to pull up some questions. I think with this Zoom function, we're the only ones that can actually view the questions. So apologies for that. So here's one here. What are the first steps for including the hospital in my estate plans? I can actually answer that, or Tom, if you'd like to.
I think the first step would be to contact your attorney and make sure that it is included in your plan, whether that's a will or trust or however your plan is structured, and make sure that it's in there properly. I think it would be important also to touch base with the team at the foundation to make sure that you want to make sure that the intention is followed, so that what you're trying to accomplish is structured appropriately to make sure that you're able to accomplish your goals.
Great point, Tom. We we have funding priorities each fiscal year. However, there are needs that are constant through each fiscal year, and so some of our legacy giving actually supports those constant needs throughout the year. And then in some cases, the legacy giving supports a specific funding initiative. So I thank you for mentioning to reach out to the foundation. We do have sample language if your estate planning attorney is looking for some. So thank you. Thanks, Tom. That was a great question. Next question, what are the urgent needs at Wentworth-Douglass Hospital? Well, gosh, that's a Jeff and Sheila question.
Well, we're working actually with the way that we're organized is we have robust clinical service lines. So I talked about them in my remarks. So cardiovascular care, oncology, women's and children's services, musculoskeletal services, and behavioral health services. And we've got a new one starting in neurology. And we actually have robust strategic business plans in each of those service areas. And so I would say if you're interested in a particular area, we can certainly give you more information about the plans for growth in all of those. I think right now we're more focused on making sure that our Peace Campus is successful, and all of our clinical service lines are continuing to build services at that location, and really advancing care throughout the greater Seacoast market, which is in line with sort of our vision of being a regional hub. So I think that we've got updates in all of those areas. Sheila, anything you want to add?
One of the things that the foundation done that's very near and dear to my heart are the scholarships, the Edna Doobie Scholarship and the Helen Grant. They continue to support our staff who are either going back to school or furthering their education in a clinical endeavor. The medical staff has also started a scholarship, which has been so well received. And those are just some of the ways I think we can pay back our staff and always bring expert clinicians and maintain expert clinicians at Wentworth-Douglass. But there are lots of other capital needs and equipment needs and things like that.
Let me talk a little bit more about some of the programs that we're also moving forward with. We're working in close collaboration with Massachusetts General Hospital to expand our capacity to really take care of sick newborns and expanding our capabilities, clinical capabilities for a neonatal, almost a level 2 nursery at the hospital. We're very excited about that. We've also been very successful, I think in part because of our relationship with Mass General, to attract specialists. And we've recently hired a physician, a female physician, who specializes in sports medicine, who is now part of the family. And that is coupled with Dr. Capolino, who is our women's heart specialist. So it's amazing to me the caliber of the physicians and providers that we were able to bring to Wentworth-Douglass, to the Seacoast community, to really expand our capabilities at the subspecialty level, really across all of these service lines. So it's really an exciting time for Wentworth-Douglass.
And as Jeff has just mentioned, we have brought on 4 very specialized neonatology nurse practitioners that are working closely in the nursery with the neonatologist that I mentioned earlier at Mass General. Again, allowing those fragile babies to stay with their family and to stay in our community. It's a godsend for them.
Fantastic. Thank you both. I think it's important to remember, you know, we talk about leaving the hospital in your estate plans or giving to the hospital, but what you're really giving to are the people, and you're helping to invest in our staff, our physicians, our clinicians, while at the same time supporting the capital equipment needs. You know, keep in mind the hospital has a process for these things. Philanthropy can help speed up that process. We can make things happen sooner than the regular financial process allows. So philanthropy has a wonderful role, and we're you know, the happy people. When you talk about being happy, when folks see us coming, they know that there's funding that's coming or something along those lines. So it's we love what we do, and we thank you all for helping us do that. Those were sort of the questions that had popped through. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with ending an event a little early to give you back some time in your day and to finish your cup of tea, or perhaps go for a second cup. So I'd like to thank you all for participating in our first ever 1906 Legacy Society virtual event. We hope you enjoyed our Rise and Shine. It's the tea time program as well as the gift box. For those who are 1906 Legacy Society members, please know how greatly we appreciate your foresight and your support of Wentworth-Douglass. And for those who are considering becoming a member, please consider the impact that a planned gift could make to Wentworth-Douglass. Wishing you all a wonderful spring. Please be in touch with any questions. We look forward to continuing the conversation, and thank you all again. Have a great day.